Standing in this gallery, you can see how deeply Indigenous people impacted the landscape of what is now Chicago, and how the city we know today would not be possible without them.
This is Nicolas de Fer's 1718 map, the title of which translates to The Course of the Mississippi, or St. Louis, famous river of North America in the vicinity of which one finds the country called Louisiana. Rose Miron, director of the D'Arcy McNickle Center for American Indian and Indigenous Studies at the Newberry, co-director of the Indigenous Chicago Project, and co-curator of the Indigenous Chicago exhibition.
When we look at colonial maps like this, we have to understand that we are looking at a snapshot in time that was created by colonial officials who did not fully understand Indigenous traditions and lifeways. Native nations were not stationary. They moved seasonally within their territories, and the images of Indigenous people that we see here are sometimes exoticized.
We're also looking at a snapshot that is not only secondhand, but also about 45 years old. Nicolas de Fer never actually set foot in North America. Instead, he relied on the accounts of French missionaries and explorers like Louis Hennepin and René Robert Cavelier de la Salle that were written in the late 17th century.
In spite of this, it's important to focus on what the map can tell us. There are Native people everywhere on this map. We see them in canoes, hunting, and being in relation with each other. This was not a vacant landscape, but an established Native world into which Europeans had to integrate themselves. You can see this theme repeated across several other items in this first gallery. Early narratives, like those of Jacques Marquette in the center case of this room, highlight how dependent early settlers were on Native people for survival and navigation. In the same case, a map oriented around Native villages shows us that as late as the 19th century, settlers were still living in a world that was primarily shaped by the location and actions of Native communities. Even the ways we travel through the city today are profoundly shaped by Native travel routes, which, as shown on the large map by Albert F. Scharf at the back of this room, were the foundations for many of the diagonal streets we drive on today.